Disneyland. You know the tagline, right? The happiest place on earth. It conjures up this image of shared magic, of everyone having a great time together. But what if that's not really the case anymore? What if that shared experience is actually disappearing? And what if the park itself has become one of the clearest, most real-world examples of this massive economic divide that's splitting our society apart? It's a pretty wild thought, so let's get into it. Okay, so to really get what's going on with Disneyland, we first have to talk about this one key economic idea, the K-shaped economy. Now, I know it sounds a little academic, but stick with me. It's just a letter, right? But what it represents, well, that's a huge, powerful force shaping our world. So what is it? Just picture the letter K in your mind. After some kind of big economic event, instead of everyone bouncing back together, society literally splits. You've got the upper arm of the K, that's the group whose fortunes are on the rise. We're talking more income, more wealth, more spending power, everything's going up. And then there's the lower arm. That's everyone who's getting left behind. Their finances are just stuck, or even worse, falling. See? Two groups heading in completely opposite directions. Okay, so you've got this abstract economic theory. But here's where it gets really fascinating. This idea becomes crystal clear, like you can actually see it in a place you would never expect. Yeah, Disneyland. It has, maybe not on purpose, become the perfect real-world laboratory for watching this K-shaped economy play out right in front of our eyes. And where does it all start? Well, let's begin with the most obvious thing, the price tag. I mean, before you even scan your ticket, Disney's pricing strategy is already busy creating this two-tiered system. The problem at its core is that the cost of a ticket has just shot up way, way faster than what the average family is actually earning. Then you throw in dynamic pricing, which is just a fancy way of saying the days you actually want to go are going to cost a fortune. That alone prices out a huge chunk of people. But the real game changer? Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes. I mean, this is literally a system where you can pay to skip the line. Time itself has become a luxury item you can buy. And this system, it creates this crazy feedback loop. So guests on that upper arm of the K buy Genie Plus, and boom, their day gets way better. Less standing around, more rides, more fun. But here's the thing. That doesn't just happen in a bubble. For them to have shorter waits, someone else has to wait longer. And that someone else is the lower arm guest who couldn't afford the extra fee. They get pushed into even longer standby lines. So here's the kicker. Paying more doesn't just make your day better, it actively makes the day worse for people who can't. And this divide, it doesn't just stop at the front gate. Oh no, it gets wider and wider once you're inside the park. When you start comparing how two different families might experience the exact same day, it's like a tale of two completely different visits. Just take a look at this. It really lays it all out. On one side, you have the upper arm guest. They're doing character breakfasts, using lightning lanes to waltz onto every big ride, buying that limited edition Spirit jersey, and then heading back to their fancy on-site hotel. Now look at the other side, the lower arm guest. They're eating sandwiches they packed from home, spending hours in standby lines, telling the kids no at the gift shops, and then driving back to a motel that's a 30-minute commute away. They are standing in the same park, breathing the same air, but believe me, they're living in two totally different worlds. Hey, by the way, if this is all starting to click and make sense for you, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button. It really helps us keep making these deep dives into the topics that are shaping our world. So you might be thinking, how did this happen? Well, it's not some random accident. This growing gap is the direct result of a huge shift in how Disney does business. It's basically the business of division. For a long, long time, Disney's main goal was super simple. Get as many people as possible to come to the park, maximize attendance, pack the place. But the new goal? It's a total 180. Now, it's all about maximizing how much money they can get from each individual guest. The focus isn't on the crowd anymore, it's on the high spender. Disney doesn't need everybody to show up anymore. They just need the right kind of customer, the one who's ready and willing to spend big. And you want proof? Look no further than the cost of their own hotels. We're talking anywhere from $400 to over $900 for one night. What that does is it turns convenience, getting into the park early, that whole immersive Disney bubble experience, it turns it into a luxury good. It sends a pretty clear message that the complete magical experience is really just for the folks at the top of the K. And this brings up a really tough question, you know? What kind of message is this sending to families, and especially to kids? A trip to Disneyland is supposed to be this magical childhood memory, but when one kid gets to experience it as this all-access VIP vacation and another kid sees it as this really stressful, pinch-every-penny day trip, Well, the park becomes a very early and very powerful symbol of which side of that K your family falls on. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, what's happening inside Disneyland's gates isn't unique to Disneyland. The park isn't creating this stuff out of thin air. It's really just a powerful, super visible miniature version of what's happening all across the US economy. I mean, just think about it for a second. The rising cost of literally everything, wages that just can't seem to keep up, the explosion of luxury brands and services, and this normalization of pay-to-play systems everywhere you look, at the airport, at concerts, even on your phone apps. Disneyland is just mirroring a world where having money buys you the most precious resource of all, time and convenience. And if you don't have it, you get more friction, more waiting, and more stress. And that really brings us to the final takeaway here, the big idea. Disneyland didn't invent this economic divide. It didn't create the K-shaped economy. But with its pricing strategies, its business goals, and the very way a day in the park is now structured, it might have just built the world's most famous and maybe most magical theme park right on top of that divide. It makes an invisible economic force something you can actually see and feel. So the happiest place on Earth might also be one of the clearest.